Video, we're going to be doing a little bit of technical analysis on Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency markets because Bitcoin currently finds itself in a very interesting pattern where it's currently trading above this uptrend of support right here and below this downtrend of resistance right here. This is a very important downtrend and this is a rather important uptrend, and both of these trend lines are going to be crossing within the next 5 days or so, and that does mean that Bitcoin is either going to be breaking bullish or breaking bearish out of this consolidation pattern. I'll go ahead and give you a hint. I believe it's going to be bullish, and I'll be explaining exactly why in today's video, and I'll also be explaining what the significance of a bullish break above this downtrend of resistance would be, because I do believe it would be extremely significant. From there, there's also a couple of things I want to show you on the EOS chart, so make sure you guys watch till the end of the video because I do have something that I think you guys will find interesting on EOS. But without much further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. If we come in here to the hour, what we're going to see is that Bitcoin is currently trading below $6,600. Again, 2 weeks ago or so, $6,600 was a very important level. Lately, it's been a little bit less important because Bitcoin has been trading around it, kind of nullifying the significance of this level. We did see Bitcoin run up here to around $6,750 last night, but it didn't stay up there for long and we came back down. We're currently trading below $6,600. But like I said, we've basically been trading sideways for the better part of the last week and a half or so, and I do think that's going to be coming to an end, which is what we're discussing in today's video. So let's go ahead and get onto the CoinMarketCap and do the crypto market recap. Not a whole lot to discuss here today. Bitcoin hasn't really changed all that much in the last 24 hours. Like I said, we've been looking at a lot of sideways price action over the last little while. As you can see, the vast majority of the last candlesticks, really the last 48 hours or so, have not seen that much movement for Bitcoin. I do think that's going to be changing, but for right now, that low volatility has also brought low volume. As we can see, we only have about $3.3 billion in daily volume for Bitcoin, which is a full $1 billion lower than what you may typically see on a normal day for Bitcoin. Hovering around $4.5 billion is around the average for Bitcoin, at least from what I've seen. Like I said, Bitcoin hasn't changed a lot over the last 24 hours. The altcoin markets are doing kind of meh. There's not a whole lot to write home about on the altcoin markets. EOS is trading around $5.71, and I'll be showing you why I told you that in just a second when I get to the EOS TA at the end of the video. But if we sort by change over the last 24 hours here, we do see Maker is doing rather well. As you can see on the 7-day price graphs, Maker has been doing very well for the last 7 days or so and really gone parabolic in the last couple of days, being up about 18% over the last 24 hours. Definitely a good day for Maker. But if we scroll down here, overall the altcoin market is basically split. We see about as much green as we do red. Monocoin is down here at negative 6.5%, and as you can see on the 7-day price graphs, it has not been treated very well in the last 24 hours or so. That's kind of an ugly price graph right there. Anyway, like I said, not a whole lot to discuss on CoinMarketCap, so let's go ahead and get back into the actual TA. So let's go ahead out here into the 4-hour and let me define these trend lines because both of these are significant trend lines. The downtrend of resistance, I would say, is more significant than the uptrend of support. But let's go ahead and start with the uptrend of support. I'm going to get rid of the oscillators here. Actually, I'll leave them up. We're going to leave the oscillators up, and this right here is the uptrend that we're looking at. We saw Bitcoin be above an uptrend right here a little while ago, but it didn't really stay up there for very long. We did break bearish out of that, but actually when we came back down, we came down and reconfirmed an uptrend right here, which Bitcoin is currently trading on. And that's a significant uptrend because if we break it, the next level of support would be this uptrend right here. And that's one thing that I want to write home, that I want to talk about in today's video. I've got too excited with the write home about it, phrasing. But anyway, if Bitcoin does break below this uptrend, we do have some backup. But if Bitcoin breaks this downtrend of resistance, that's kind of game over for the bears. So let's go ahead and define this downtrend now. If we come out to the daily chart, this is actually the long-term downtrend. This isn't an insignificant downtrend. This downtrend has been in effect and been playing a role in the Bitcoin market ever since the beginning of the year. We have our real first touch over here. We have some touches over here. We have a touch there. And then we really realized how important this was back over here in late July when Bitcoin broke a previous downtrend, which looked a little something like that. Bitcoin broke a downtrend right over here, and then we reestablished it as that. And then Bitcoin came up and tested it again recently when it ran up to around $7,400 here at the beginning of September. Now it's the beginning of October, and it looks like Bitcoin is going to be testing this level again, and I do think it's going to be breaking it this time. So if we come back in here to the 4-hour, what we see is we have that downtrend of resistance, and we have an uptrend of support. And when you see those two things converge, then what you're looking at is a consolidation pattern, and normally when you break a consolidation pattern, it leads to significant price action. Normally when you break a consolidation pattern, it leads to significant price action, and it looks like we're going to be breaking bullish out of this. I do think we're going to be breaking bullish, but no matter which way we break out of this, Bitcoin sideways trading that we've been seeing go on for the last several days is about to come to a close, and I think it's going to come to a close in a dramatic way, because what we're seeing right now is Bitcoin is kind of just coiling in here. It's tightening happening. It's getting really, really tight. We're seeing Bitcoin run very, very far into this consolidation pattern. I'm honestly surprised we haven't already broken it. And when you see that happen, you see a lot of the volatility drop off, and you see a lot of tension take its place. And I can really feel it in the market right now that the market is kind of coiling up like a spring, and it's ready to bounce. And I do think that when we break one of these trend lines, it's going to be significant. Now, there's also an argument to say that so many people have left the market that Bitcoin just doesn't have the ability to make massive runs anymore. I don't necessarily subscribe to that, because when the market starts moving and the order book gets thinned out, the market can move extremely quickly, and I think that's what we're going to see here. Let me also explain that redundancy that I was talking about earlier, because Bitcoin only really has one downtrend to worry about. Now, we have the downtrend that I just laid out, this downtrend right here. If we break that, it's kind of game over. I'll explain what happens if we break that in just a second. But if Bitcoin breaks the the uptrend of support, that's not actually really a big deal, because we have another uptrend of support, which is also significant right below us. So this is the uptrend of support that we're looking at right here. We obviously don't want Bitcoin to break it, because we're trying to get Bitcoin to go north. We want Bitcoin to turn bullish so that we can enter a new bull market. Of course, you guys know how this works. But if Bitcoin does break it, then we have another uptrend right down here, which Bitcoin can come down and get support on. Now, one thing you have to keep in mind is that if we break a bearish out of this consolidation pattern, we're probably going straight to this level of support, because it's going to be significant when we break this. At least I think it will be anyway, because like I said, I can feel a lot of that tension in the market. If we break the uptrend of support, we're coming down to this uptrend below it almost definitely. And if we break that, then also as another level of redundancy, we have $6,000 below us, which $6,000 has proven to be one of the strongest levels of support for Bitcoin in a very long time. Now, one problem with $6,000 is that we've come down and tested it so many times in 2018, but the fact that we haven't come down and tested it in this pullback and only pulled back down to around $6,150 leads me to believe that if we do actually have to pull back down to it, it will probably hold, because we didn't need to pull back down to it here in early September when we had a pullback. With all of that in mind, what do I think is going to happen if Bitcoin breaks this downtrend of resistance, which I do think is the most likely scenario? I think Bitcoin is going to break the downtrend of resistance in this kind of pseudo consolidation pattern that we're looking at. I say pseudo because the downtrend of resistance is far older than the uptrend of support, but it is nevertheless a consolidation pattern, and it is nevertheless significant. But where do I think Bitcoin is going if we break it? Well, one of the first levels I think we're going to be going to is the 61.8% Fibonacci level. If we drag our chart out here, if we drag our Fibonacci retracement tool out here, then what we're going to see is that Bitcoin has several times gotten resistance on the 50% Fibonacci level. Let's grab that and move it where it's supposed to be. We've seen Bitcoin get resistance on the Fibonacci level of 50%. That's not actually technically a Fibonacci level, but it is a significant level in technical analysis anyway, so it's thrown in here. Technically, you can get 51% or 50% if you use 1 and 2 in the Fibonacci sequence, but nevertheless, it is a level that you like to look at when you're using Fibonacci levels, and we've seen Bitcoin come up and get resistance at it recently. But if we break this downtrend, what I think Bitcoin is going to do is the first place it's going to go to at least the 61.8% Fibonacci level. I would have a target somewhere around $6,900 at least to start with. I think we'll probably be going higher than that because of how significant this is, but I think that's where we're going to go first. And like I just said, I think we're going to go higher than that, but the reason I think we're going to go to 61.8% at least is because of what I discussed in the Fibonacci consolidation pattern video, which you can watch in the top right, and that's going to be a good introduction to what I'm talking about here. Bitcoin has had this pattern going on for the majority of 2018 where it'll have a downtrend and then it will have a rally, and the rally will go up to the 61.8% Fibonacci level. We see this right over here where Bitcoin ran up to the 61.8% Fibonacci level. We see a similar thing if we drag a fib out here. That's not a Fibonacci level, that is a brush. But if we drag a Fibonacci level out over here, we see a very similar thing. Bitcoin ran to the 61.8% Fibonacci level. And you see that several times in Bitcoin having rallies and downtrends. You even see this right here. If we drag this Fibonacci level out, Bitcoin ran roughly to the 61.8% Fibonacci level. So that's why I think in this case, we will be running to at least the 61.8% Fibonacci level. But the thing is, this downtrend of resistance is so significant and has been in effect for so long, and so many people are putting so much weight on it that a confirmed breakout above it, I simply don't think is only going to bring us $300. I think if we break above this, we're going to go much further than 61.8%. I think if we break above this, we're going to go to at least $6,900 and probably go higher, perhaps up to around $7,250, where we find the 200 daily simple moving average. And that's very significant if that happens. I want to make it very clear that if Bitcoin goes above the 61.8% Fibonacci level, then what that is a bullish break of market structure. And like I talk about on the channel a lot, and like I have a dedicated video for in the course, link in the description, Breaking market structure is very significant, and it's also significant how you break it. If Bitcoin breaks that market structure and goes above the 61.8% Fibonacci level, that is a bullish break of market structure, and that is a very good sign. Because if we break that, then that means that Bitcoin has been able to break the market structure, which we've seen build over the entire year, in a bullish way by recovering even more than it has in previous, while also, keep in mind, having not had to go down to $6,000 to get support. We got support above 6K without even having to go down there. That would be very significant. Breaking the downtrend and also going above 6,100, the 61.8% Fibonacci level would be extremely, extremely important. And I do think that that would bring us to, at the very least, this 200 daily simple moving average. And if we get resistance there, okay, that's fine. If we get resistance at the 200 daily simple moving average, then perhaps we come back down to $6,000, have another retracement and extend the accumulation period. But, and we are getting off into the ifism, if we break above the 200 daily simple moving average right here, that would be one of the early warning signs of a new bull market, because that is a very significant downtrend. That is a very significant moving average, and it's not that far away, guys. It's only sitting up here at $7,300. It's barely $700 away. It's not that far north, and I've seen Bitcoin run over $1,000 for much less significant reasons than the break of the most important downtrend in Bitcoin technical analysis. If we break this, and I do think we're going to break it, I think it's going to be very significant, and we're going to see it happen, if it's going to happen, in the next 5 days or so, because that's when this consolidation pattern ends. With that in mind, it's very possible that Bitcoin does something like this. It comes up here, gets resistance, breaks bearish, comes down here, and then comes up and tests it, or we break bearish, come down here, break this one, and come down to $6,000 and then break it. Something like that is very possible. But my point is that when Bitcoin inevitably breaks this downtrend of resistance, I think it's going to be very significant, and it's going to be very, very bullish for the Bitcoin market. Tell me in the comments section down below what you think of that technical analysis. Do you think Bitcoin breaking this downtrend is as significant as I think it is? And also, do you think that we are going to be able to kick off a bull run from doing that? I think it's definitely in the cards. I'm not going to say this is the most likely scenario yet, but time will tell when that actually happens. We'll do some TA on it, as you know we do over here. Anyway, with all that out of the way, I do want to show you something on EOS before we wrap the video up, and likewise, it is also a consolidation pattern, actually. If we come in here to the hourly chart, what we're going to see is that EOS...